So I think about this structuring it. I can see how you've been able to make things quite government. It just works. Yes, this week.
Probably just going to be hard. When I'm talking to kids who know about it, I don't really want to it's great parties. A couple of times, oh, we get it.
Like who? Yeah, Tier 2 start, Tier 1 start.
I mean,
Yes.
And the upside. So they want to a bag of balls. Essentially, it's pretty much big smart a bit like and then you know what's I say and because you know you discovering and lowering their attitude. And then that's like one of the forms of it. So now major projects.
One of the guys who was installed basically one of the best things we can do is just install whatever funding. Budgets and time on budgeting. Basically, yeah, right, yeah.
My calculation is that it was well. So the power of the simple, there's two steps. I don't even want to, but I feel like yeah.
Don't forget my MX. So I touched base with the said okay, so that's something that's yeah.
Is it number one? I've put it on silence. It doesn't go off.
That's going very quiet. Okay, good to go. First of all, welcome to everybody who's come today. This is good for us. I hope what you get out of this is what you've actually get from. So I'm delighted to work on your behalf of the Chartered Institute of Building. I would also like to thank One University, CIOB accredited institution for hosting this event. My name is Peter McLaughlin. I'm a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Building, and I'm the newly elected CIOB Brisbane Hub Chair. As you may know, or may not know, the CIOB are the world leading professional body for construction management, with over 51,000 members worldwide, including many here in Australia. The CIOB exists to promote experience via chartership in the built environment, supporting professionals at every stage of their career. Our built environment is important. It's where we live, it's where we work, it's where we plan, and it's where we play. Therefore, it's crucial to have a trusted, skilled and professional workforce shaping our world for the better. It is essential to have a competent team that knows how to meet professional standards, legislation, to create a robust world and re-establish public confidence. Having a workforce that possesses not only the necessary qualifications, but the practical experience and commitment to high standards can help us all achieve successfully and navigate around complex projects. At the heart of what we do, our commitment is to drive professional excellence. We do this through accrediting qualifications and training to support the next generation of our construction leaders to improve quality. The chartership of the CIOB recognises individuals for their skill and experience and is actually benchmarked worldwide as a bachelor with honours degree at membership level. Along with this, once you achieve fellowship grade, this is also classed as a master's degree according to the British qualification standards. So if anybody would like to discuss anything about Chartered Institute of Building, I'm actually an accredited mentor. So, don't be scared. Modern methods of construction. This is a very important topic for all of us. MMC aligns directly with the CIOB's corporate plan teams, offering smarter ways to build. That enhances productivity, reduces waste, and delivers high-quality outcomes. CIOB is a partner with Built Offsite, Australia's leading publication on modular and off-site construction. The CIOB Brisbane Hub, which I'm the chair, is also proud to announce collaboration with other professional bodies, such as Chelsea Institute of Building Services, RICS, the Royal Institution of the Chartered Surveyors, and the Chartered Institute of Civil Engineering Surveyors, and Master Builders Queensland, who are here tonight. Tonight we bring government, academia and industry together. And hopefully through this presentation and the opportunities to listen to what speakers have to say, then we'll have an understanding of the benefits and costs. So before I hand over to Martin Fenn, it's very warm up here. I would like to, who is our CIOB Oceania methods of and lead, who I believe will be joining us in Brisbane as a committee member. So look forward to that.
Thank you.
Just a bit of background before I do hand over to Martin. Martin has, believe it or not, 20 years of construction experience across the UK, New Zealand and Australia. You can tell he's got their hair. He's led major offsite projects, reshaped contracts for modern methods, improved how builders and manufacturers work together. He's also helped to unlock finance for offsite construction. Martin's day job is a key delivery officer at PT Blink, a construction technology company transforming the delivery of multi-storey buildings. He leads the tactical and strategic rollout of their rapid assembly kit architecture, working closely with developers to accelerate projects through innovation. At the CIOB, Martin is the MMC lead for Oceania and spearheads the strategic alliance of peak bodies across the world, bringing together change makers to share knowledge and drive industry transformation on a global scale. Thank you very much. I'd like to be able to introduce you to Martin Fenn.
Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today, whether you're joining in person or online. And we'd really like to say thank you for all of those who've flown up into state and making the effort to join us today. It's fantastic to see such a strong mix of government, industry, academia, and the broader construction industry here today. So as Peter said, I'm Martin Fenn, Chief Delivery Officer at PT Blink, and the MMC lead of the CIOB Oceania. And it's a real privilege to be here moderating today's session. So constructive change with modern methods. What we're doing here today is creating a connection rod between government, industry, and academia to help demystify what MMC, or modern methods of construction, actually is, and how we can implement these solutions to solve real-world problems. So today's event has received overwhelming support. It's a full house. We actually got fully booked twice. We had to keep upping the ticket sales. So thank you everyone for supporting us. Now, we decided on that basis, it's going to be a series, not just a one-off event. So there'll be plenty more of these to come. Now, I'm incredibly lucky to be surrounded by the A team. So thanks guys. So we've got a huge thanks to Jessie from the CIOB, who's not here today, she's down in Victoria, for her tireless efforts in pulling this all together. So Isaac, where's Isaac? Put your hand up. Oh, he's over there. Thanks Isaac for joining us today, giving us a hand. Big thanks to Megan from Bond and Olivia from Pure Catering, keeping us fueled and refreshed. Thank you. And a big thank you to Michael Dolphin, sat right there. He's from Built Offsite. His energy, passion, and immense efforts making this happen today, and he's also flown up all the way from Melbourne, so thank you. Now, I'd also like to say thank you to our speakers who joined us today, and I'll go through that shortly. I'd like to say a big thank you to our sponsors. So we've got CSR, we've got PT Blink somewhere, we've got Integration Group. Now, none of this would have happened without your backing, so thanks, guys. Now, a bit of context from the CIOB. So we span across our membership the whole life cycle of construction, cradle to grave. So what I mean by that, we cover architects all the way through to demolition subcontractors. We're proud to be collaborating globally with other MMCP bodies. So MMC in Ireland, Offsite NZ, Offsite Alliance in the UK, and we also partnered with the UK's Construction Innovation Hub. And this is to share what's working and showcase what good looks like. So why are we here? Let's be clear. Modern methods of construction is not about displacing traditional construction. It's about enhancing it. It's about productivity gains. It's about doing more with less. Now, personally, I started life as a labourer and then a carpenter by trade. I know how rewarding this industry is, but also I know how physically and mentally demanding it can be. So the conundrum, we're facing the perfect storm. A housing shortage and skilled labour crisis, both at the same time. Homes are increasingly unaffordable. We need to apply basic economic principles. So that's build more to reduce costs, but it's getting harder when experienced people are leaving the industry. Our industry currently relies on a highly skilled workforce. That's taken years to train, yet it's not seen as an attractive offering for many school leavers. Now, I think we've hit a tipping point, and I think everyone in this room will agree. Conventional construction is starting to feel like the risk, and innovation is starting to look like the solution. It's time to start turning these bold ideas into real-world outcomes. So let's explore that today. So, today's lineup. We're live streaming on YouTube, so thank you everyone online for joining us. I think there's about 40 odd people. And so, 4 till 5, we've got a series of 10-minute presentations. So we should start with Rebecca Young, Assistant Minister of the Deputy Premier and Assistant Minister for Planning, Housing, Better Regulation. We've got Diane Johnson, General Manager, Policy and Advocacy, Master Builders Queensland. And then we've got our sponsors. So we've got Ryan Baxter from CSR. We've got Wayne Larson. Wayne? Where's Wayne? At the back. PT Blink. And then we've got Brad Mays, Integration Group. So, 5 till 5:30, grab a drink and a bite during the networking event. Networking break, sorry. Then 5:30 till 6:30, we've got the panel. And that is Constructive Change with Modern Methods of Construction. So that covers planning, policy, procurement, and skills. So on that panel, we have Rebecca Young, MP. We've got Leah Lang, Queensland Government State Architect. We've got Robert Sobryan, Executive Director of Build Skills Australia. And we've got Robbie Classy, the new Queensland General Manager of Modscape. So this panel is designed to be interactive. Questions, answers, input. So please have a thought about your input, your questions and thoughts. We've allowed 20 to 30 minutes for that, so get involved. Don't be shy, guys, please. Now, 6:30 till 8, the catering continues. Relax, network, have a drink, have tea, have fruit. I want to share a really positive story with you. So a big thank you to Filter Brewing. Now, their craft beer is somewhere over there, and there's plenty of it, guys. So my mate Ben, he used to be a plumber, and he broke his back, and he could no longer work on the tools as a tradie. Now, he turned to alcohol, but different way of turning to alcohol, in a positive way. He co-founded Filter Brewing, creating some seriously good craft beer, and there's a load of it. So guys, enjoy it, and well done to Ben. So, the event is designed to be drop in and drop out as we go. During the 5 to 5:30 event, grab a drink, sit down. If you need to grab another drink, grab another one. Oh, that's it. You like it, don't you? It's good, yeah. Well done. Yeah, well done there. Now, help me out and enjoy these drinks, because I'm actually on a promise. Michael Dolphin said to me, Martin, there's no beers coming home tonight. So whatever's left, you have to drink. Now, guys, I don't drink a lot, I promise you. So it will really hit me. So help me out, because I've got a big day tomorrow. So Michael, we're living by that promise. There will be no beers left. So, without further ado, please welcome our first speaker, and that is Rebecca Young, MP, Assistant Minister to the Deputy Premier and Assistant Minister for Planning, Housing and Better Regulation.
Thank you. I love hearing my title, but it's so long. No, how can I be? I'm in a space of state development and housing and better regulation. Like, they're three things that should definitely be matched together. So I mean, kudos to my boss, the Premier, for giving me this job and putting all three things together, because I tell you what, it doesn't matter actually what room I'm in. I'm constantly talking about all three hand in hand, you know, whether it's a developers lunch yesterday with Colliers, or tiny homes workshop yesterday morning. I was with a not-for-profit this morning, and then back with you guys this afternoon, and in between visited a harbour. And I think that just each and every thing that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis goes hand in hand. So thank you so much for having me here. To the guys for putting this on, to our state architect, Lee Lane, thank you for being my wing girl today, my backup. I'd like to thank the Chartered Institute of Building and Built Offsite for the invitation to speak. I'm sorry I'm not the housing minister. Sam is in Gladstone doing a regional visit today, but I'm sure he would like to engage with this industry, and we're doing as much engagement as we possibly can across the board. You've already given me that long title, so I won't introduce myself again. Housing is one of the most fundamental challenges of our time, which I'm sure it's not something that I have to state in this room. It's never been harder for Queenslanders to find safe, secure and affordable places to call home. And yet this challenge also presents us with one of our greatest opportunities, to build homes, and to support the private sector to build those homes so that all Queenslanders have a place to live, to work, to raise a family, and to retire in dignity. One fact is very clear: Queensland needs more housing. We need more standalone homes, we need more unit complexes in space, and we need more of the missing middle, those medium density developments like townhouses, duplexes and low-rise apartments. And we particularly need more homes that are affordable for Queenslanders. We have more than 50,000 people on our social housing register in Queensland. And in the private market, we know it's hard to get a rental or for people to buy their first home. We have the lowest home ownership in the country in this state. Vacancy rates in many areas still sit below 1%. Rents have risen sharply, and workers are being priced out of living near their jobs. According to CoreLogic data, Brisbane residents need 11 years to save up enough money for a deposit needed to buy a home. And that's assuming the household can actually save 15% of their income towards the deposit. This is why ramping up supply of new homes is a priority for the Chris Bully government. And you'll hear my other minister, Jared Blay, say supply, supply, supply. He also says housing, housing, housing. So it's pretty simple in those terms. In 1974, the federal government set up a task force, the Modern Housing Task Force, to look at modern housing techniques. This task force produced a report that examined framing systems, panelised construction, transportable homes, modern homes and modular systems. The task force found all these options make greater use of machination and factory production than traditional builds. The report was in favour of building using MMC and outlined benefits such as not needing to worry about weather disruptions, the potential use for robots and machines to speed up builds, and the ability to drive down production costs through economies of scale. We haven't seen the movement in the MMC industry that the report had hoped for, but we have seen an increase in the use of MMC in Australia in recent years. Our government has set up an ambitious target to deliver 1 million new homes by 2044, including 53,500 social and community homes. As a government, we know we can't do this alone, but we want to do our bit. In our first state budget, we allocated a record $5.6 billion to be invested in new social and community housing over the next 4 years to deliver towards that goal. For the first time, the budget also locks in baseline funding of $500 million per year from 2029, creating a long-term pipeline of social and community homes for Queenslanders most in need. The budget delivers the investment to get more social and community homes out of the ground and available for Queenslanders who need them. We're planning for a diversity of housing types, homes near transport corridors, family homes in high demand areas, medium density, walkable communities that promote connection and sustainability. And we know that modern methods of construction, or MMC, will be part of our plan for more housing, both government-funded housing and private sector developments. The Queensland Government is already using MMC for social and community housing, for government employee housing, where we provide for frontline workers such as nurses, police, teachers in remote and regional communities. These workers would otherwise rent privately, impacting the local rental market and availability for the other locals. Traditional construction methods alone cannot meet the scale of demand we're facing, so MMC has been a valuable addition to our toolbox. From our perspective, anything that frees up the construction industry to deliver more housing is a good thing, and that's one of the many benefits of modular housing because it's built off-site in a controlled environment of a factory. We've also used MMC for disaster response to create recovery hubs to provide immediate to medium-term accommodation for people whose homes and communities have been devastated by floods and bushfires, which we've seen so much of in the last 12 months. The ability to quickly deploy these homes in urban, regional and remote communities is one of the benefits of this type of construction. One of the challenges of MMC, as I'm sure many of you know, is the perception of it. There can still be an idea that MMC homes are just glorified dormers or not built to the same quality as a home built with traditional methods. And the examples Leah and I saw at the Tiny Homes event this week speaks nothing that is more different. And I'm sure that Leah can talk to the architecture component that is so important in these places. And we're seeing the quality, innovation and beautiful design in the modern modular homes being built. On Tuesday afternoon, the 2025 Ministers' Awards for Urban Design, a modular home won one of the major awards, the Malcolm Middleton Housing Innovation Award. It was won by Block Tree Sisters multi-residential development on Mundurumba, which is close to my patch at Stradbroke Island in the Redlands. The judges said it was a new standard for adaptable, high-quality urban design in Queensland, prioritising natural light, ventilation and coastal resilience, ensuring longevity and environmental harmony. Prefabricated in Brisbane and assembled on site, the judges said the project showcased efficiency without compromising architectural integrity, and that the project has embraced the modular concept and taken it to a new level. We're thrilled this project has been recognised in this way. It embodies the principles of Q Design, the government's first urban design policy document, and a wonderful legacy of work of Malcolm Middleton, the former Queensland government architect. It also shines a light on the great work that is being done in the MMC space and hopefully goes some way to breaking those old stereotypes. While this is a great outcome for the industry, we know the building industry at all levels is facing challenges to build more houses quickly, and that's part of the issue for Queenslanders who are struggling to find a home. For too long, Queenslanders' construction industry has been weighed down by inconsistent regulation, unnecessary red tape and outdated practices. In the MMC space specifically, I'm pleased to see the department is heavily involved in the development of a national policy, including involvement in the Australian Building Codes Board proposed national voluntary accreditation scheme for manufacturers of MMC. Conventional building certification processes and inspection regimes currently limit the productivity benefits of MMC. Developing a nationally consistent regulatory approach and removing regulatory barriers to enable greater use of MMC can have a significant positive impact on productivity. The ABCB has just released its public issues paper on the proposed accreditation scheme, and I encourage you to provide your submissions sorry, that sentence does not make any sense. Submit by the 29th of August. Let's go with that. At the same time, the department contributes to the national policy development. Queensland legislation is being reviewed to identify opportunities to remove barriers to the uptake of MMC. More broadly, we've introduced a suite of reforms to make it easier, faster, and more cost-effective to build in Queensland. We want to be the building capital of Australia here. Through our Building Reg Reno initiative, we've cut red tape and unnecessary costs for tens of thousands of builders, tradies, and subcontractors. As part of the Reg Reno, a proposed Queensland Housing Code has been developed in consultation with key stakeholders. The proposed code will promote consistent design and setting standards for detached houses on single lots across Queensland. Design and setting standards support effective land use and ensure both privacy and good amenity outcomes for residents. To achieve this, the proposed code will regulate elements such as building height, the distance between dwellings and lot boundaries, visual privacy, car parking, and private open space. Detached homes represent about 70% of all new residential construction in Queensland. However, 3/4 of councils across Queensland have different design and setting rules. We understand it can be frustrating to industry to have different standards for different areas, especially when developments cross local government boundaries. But even just for companies that just work in various local government areas, it's a big one we're hearing around the table at the BMAC, the Building Ministerial Advisory Committee. The design and siting requirements for single detached dwellings and associated structures under the Queensland Development Code have not been updated in over 10 years. Feedback from industry and the widespread adoption of alternate provisions by local governments suggests the QDC requirements are not fit for purpose, do not reflect modern housing design principles, or facilitate housing diversity and choice. The updated provisions proposed in the draft of the Queensland Housing Code aim to reduce and potentially remove the need to bury the QDC. Introducing a new Queensland Housing Code is a significant opportunity to reduce the red tape for the construction industry and new homeowners while simplifying planning and building approval processes. It will also support housing affordability and diversity and promote residential amenity and livability. Public consultation is currently open on the new QHC. If you'd like to have your say, please make your submissions, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, by the 31st of July. There's a few dates here, and maybe we can put them out separately so we make sure everyone in the room gets their say. We've also paused BPIC, the best practice industry conditions, which are adding cost and complexity to our major projects. And we've restored the Independent Queensland Productivity Commission, tasking it with a regulatory review of the building and construction sector. We've also renewed the leadership team at the QBCC, appointing Angelo and I never can say his last name, but he's a great guy, Angelo, who is with me. Is Angelo in the room? No? Oh, he must have been to be here.
Oh, I didn't know.
Okay, apparently he was meant to be here in the room today, but he's not. But if he's online, hi Angelo, great to see you. And the commissioner, he's the commissioner and the CEO, and Greg Chimello is our wonderful chair. Together, they bring deep industry knowledge and track record of operational reform. Their mandate is clear: to modernise systems, improve customer service, and restore trust in our building regulator. And for those who have been dealing with our new government, I hope you're getting a feel that customer service is a priority to us. In fact, we have the first Minister for Customer Service in our team. So that's how serious we are on restoring customer service across government. I had a 20-minute speech, so I'm just going to flick through here because we can cover a lot of this in the discussion.
Happy for you to go for it, yeah.
All good, all good. I've got more stats that I can wheel out for our
Right
panel
stats.
discussion. Yes, we'll do that in the I'll drop heaps of stats in, I promise. So in conclusion, the big challenge here in Queensland and indeed across Australia is to build more housing. MMC is becoming more widely known and accepted, so there are great opportunities ahead for MMC to be part of that solution. As a government, we're investing in MMC, our own construction and partnerships with industry to deliver homes today, plus a pipeline of future construction. We are committed to helping industry to invest in their future too, driving innovation and scaling up production. I look forward to any further innovations and ideas that come up in the discussions and presentations today, and how these can be used by the private sector and government to boost housing supply in Queensland. I'm very much looking forward to listening to the other speakers and what comes out of today's discussions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. That was excellent. And thanks for sharing, the Queensland Government's commitment to MMC. Really appreciate it. And what we can do, Rebecca, is we work with your office to get those links, key dates, and we're through the CIOB, we've published them to everyone who's turned up today. So thank you very much. Okay, so look forward to our next speaker. That's Diane Johnson, who is the General Manager, Policy and Advocacy for the Master Builders of Queensland. Thank you very much.
Feeling a bit self-conscious about having such a short title. So thank you very much for having me here today, having Master Builders here today. Can we just move this?
Oh, yeah.
Got trouble enough with the eyesight. So.
Yeah.
I can either see the paper or you guys. I can't do both. Okay. So, yes, as it's already been spoken about, Master Builders sees MMC as an opportunity to improve productivity, quality and safety through innovation and building methods. I would say there, to dwell a little bit on the definition of MMC, so to be on the same page, a lot of what's happening in Queensland at the moment is about volumetric building, and that MMC is somehow different and it sits over there in factories. I would like to stress that for us, it is a continuing of the innovation of traditional construction, if you like, and how we can evolve and do things better and to deliver more with less, not a special thing that sits over there. And while a lot of the work to date has been on volumetric, and that's really an important start. It is a start, and there's a lot more opportunities that we have, and we need to think more broadly about what we can do with MMC in Queensland. So why we need it, to reiterate what the Assistant Minister said, and starting with housing, I do have some stats. Queensland housing crisis continues. Government is committed to the 1 million new homes over the next 20 years. To break that down, that is 50,000 new homes each year for the next 20 years. For some context, the data that came out this week, the commencement data, over the last 12 months, we've started 35,000 new homes. That's not unusually low. That's pretty much what we do. We have built 50,000 homes twice in history, in 1994 for 1 year and in 2016 for 1 year. To build at that level for 20 years in a row is something unprecedented, and we're going to need to have a really serious shift in what we do and how we do it. And I don't think that penny has quite dropped, because we keep saying that we're going to change this here and change that there. This is fundamental shift to a level that we had never even imagined before. And it is incredibly important, because there are people that need houses and we're not. And we're not delivering on what they need. We have a huge backlog. But then housing construction doesn't happen in a vacuum. We also have a massive hospital program that has been installed and is now moving forward again. Schools, all the Olympic venues, a huge renewable energy transformation. We've got so much to build. So we really need, it's imperative that we find across the industry, and not in a little separate MMC bubble, but across the industry, find ways to do more with less if we're going to deliver what Queensland's construction needs are in the coming years. One of the areas where we need to work smarter is our labour pool. Labour shortages in construction are a really real and growing problem. MMC is an opportunity to support those already working in the industry to be able to achieve more, and also to open up opportunities for people who wouldn't have previously considered our industry or seen it as an opportunity to come join the industry with different skills and different abilities. MMC can also provide an opportunity to better manage on-site risks, such as the weather for one. We've had an extraordinary amount of rain delay for the last couple of years, and it's very challenging to construction programs. If we can move that off-site, we can keep things moving forward. It can shorten project timelines by having parallel programming, and work can get underway on construction of the buildings while the on-site works are being carried out. That controlled factory environment also provides an opportunity for improved worker safety. MMC can also help us meet the growing environmental challenges. Something that's gone a little bit quiet of late but will not stay quiet is the net zero carbon targets that are fast looming. And again, about the sheer quantity of work that we need to deliver, what we're delivering also needs to fundamentally change, and those legislative targets still need to be met. And how we can use MMC as an opportunity to reduce waste and reduce material use in general. And it's also an opportunity to reduce the cost of construction. One of the key barriers to getting housing off the ground at the moment is feasibilities, especially for unit developments. They're just too expensive, they just don't stack up. So how we can use a standardised approach, reducing upfront design, approval processes, and streamline some of those efficiencies is a real opportunity that we can find in MMC. So it's all a great story, but what are some of the challenges that we can see as master builders to actually delivering this brave new world? We sat down with our members and asked them what's holding them back and what they would like, what changes they would like to see. And as I said, beginning mostly volumetric builders, because that is the space of MMC largely at the moment. Shifting to off-site industrialised construction means factories, which require a reliable and stable throughput of demand. We're not an industry that's characterised by reliable and stable throughput demand, and how we can facilitate that sort of environment in what has been more of a boom-bust scenario, and an industry that shifts to where the work is, which a factory obviously can't do. They also are struggling with limited access to factory land. We need more well-located land that's well-located to transport, labour and supply chain, i.e. along Bruce Highway. And probably in Logan, seems to be where it's all happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And market acceptance and of the poor quality, as the Assistant Minister said, there is a long history of the donga, and that's a structural problem too, because there are developers who will not allow modular options into their developments, and how we can shift that and show people what are the real opportunities that it is proper housing. The other consumer expectation that our members are challenged with is that if you're going to go the industrialised construction route, it's a quick and immediate solution. So you can get your granny flat there tomorrow. This is really challenging for a business model and a business plan that you've got very short order books, and how you can manage that. For builders, offsite construction means managing the risk of a project differently. Traditionally, all your work in progress has always been valued once it's fixed to site. Off-site construction changes that. So how do you manage your project stages if you're transferring a significant amount of your work to a subcontractor who's delivering off-site, paying them in advance when you're not necessarily going to be paid by the financer until it becomes fixed on site. So all those changes are being thought through, and how we can manage that risk profile that's going to be fundamentally changed. Similarly with the banks and financing, you're not going to get your progress payments until things are fixed to site, when most of that work is happening before it comes to site, and how we manage that. Then there's our regulatory framework. The construction supply chain regulatory risk is largely borne by the builder. Queensland has supply chain of responsibility legislation, but still the QBCC will only come after the builder, even though there is a regulatory requirement on those in supply chain of providing construction products and components to provide the required information to ensure compliance. The QBCC will only come after the builder. So that's in a high stakes game, the builder's going to go with what they know. The devil you know, so how we can manage that risk if they're going to be transferring more of their work to this supply chain off-site. Our National Construction Code is a performance-based code, should be great, something innovative and new ways of building. That's in theory. In practice, stepping outside the deemed to satisfy pathway is a risky and time-consuming path, and not usually an option that's usually an option that's well avoided for housing construction. Maybe not so much in the larger commercial developments, but for housing, performance solutions are avoided like plague. So a lot of our code is not written with new methods of construction in mind. There's not deemed to satisfy pathways there. How can we look at shifting that up and making it easier? Again, you will go the path of least resistance and lowest risk and stick with your deemed to satisfy. Our system in the NCC of evidence of suitability to provide evidence for use of a particular product or building component that's compliant for use is a bit patchy at best. Innovation in how we build requires innovation in how we pass information along as to what is a suitable and reliable building product through our supply chain. You're not going to change it out to a new product or a new building component unless you've got that evidence there. And our evidence at the moment is, as I said, patchy. So how we can improve that, not just changing the physical supply chains, but the information that comes with it and digitising that. Rules around construction are largely state-based. National Construction Code side, even though there are huge amounts of state variations that sit under that, but the actual administration of the code is state-based, and that lack of harmonisation from states and territories can make it really difficult for manufacturers in construction to achieve some economies of scale, which is essential if we're moving to a more manufacturing type industry. In the commercial sector, and for larger builds, I'll just quietly say that our industrial relations environment has been holding back change. Maybe this won't be a problem going forward. So there could be an opportunity there. So what is Master Builders doing about this? Interventions that we see that are needed and that we would like to help progress is going back to that solid demand, that pipeline. How can we improve that consistency of demand and allow that confidence in investing in new ways of doing things? How can we help and work to dispel that myth that MMC or modular homes are of a lower quality to traditional construction? How can we demonstrate opportunities for MMC and highlight the quality and how to address some of those really big risks? And how can we show people what can be done and what the opportunities are in a real practical sense? We're an industry that learns by touching and feeling and seeing. We need better access to the industrial land. So Logan Council's listening, there's some up there. And we need an ongoing conversation about the legislative barriers, and it's really good to see what the ABCB is doing with their accreditation proposal, but I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but hopefully it is a good step forward. And but there's a lot more that we can do there, and really looking at some of the deemed to satisfy, I think, would be an opportunity. We're also working through the National Building Products Coalition to help improve the digital traceability of product information, the evidence to suitability. As I said, you're not going to make a change unless you can be sure that you've got the evidence to back that up, and that's got to move through supply chains better in a reliable, trusted way. And we also see an opportunity to embrace competition and learn from it. There's a lot happening overseas. You're just from all the accents in the room. And that the opportunities from international competition can really drive innovation and what we do in Australia, so we really want to be looking to that. And we're going to continue to engage with our members and hear from them what they need from us and highlight the opportunities to share information and emerging trends. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Diane. Thanks for sharing your insights and valuable pieces of knowledge about MMC and the challenges that come up. I'm actually really disappointed because I thought I was going to be taking $10 off you. We had this bit of a bet. We all work in construction and we're betting who's going to drop the first F-bomb. And I thought I was taking $10 off you. So we're saving it for the moment. So apologies in advance. Yes. Right, we've run over a little bit of time, but guys, we catch up the time with in the drink session. That doesn't mean reduce the drinking, it just means keep going up and grab some drinks. So we catch up some time. Feel free to step up anytime, go to the back and grab a glass of wine or a beer, one of those filters. I see you've already tapped into them. They're good, aren't they? Yeah, you see. Right, so we move on. Oh, Ryan. So, Ryan from CSR, great to have you here today, mate. Thank you. Great for the support. I'll give you numbers that way forward. There we go. Round of applause to Ryan.
Just wanted to thank for the opportunity to discuss CSR solutions for prefab construction. I'll take you through CSR briefly, our experience in prefab design, fabrication and construction, our insights, our learnings and our system developments. While I'll share some topics today, I hope to connect with attendees in the room or online to continue customer engagement, navigate opportunities, understand constraints and avenues towards optimal materials and systems suited to specific needs. CSR are committed to support the successful scale of modern methods of construction in Australia. CSR is a leading building products company in Australia and New Zealand and is the company behind some of Australia's most trusted and well-known building product brands, providing better products for residential and commercial construction. Newly reshaped business, so we're two business units from a building products point of view currently. We're exterior systems, AFS, Cementel, Monia, Hebel, VGOs, bricks and pavers, and interior systems, Gyprock, Bradford, Martini, Himmel, Potters and Woven Image. Additionally, customer solutions through design link, technical engineering, design, digital estimation, and new product and solutions development, which is working with the collective business units to bring a one CSR focus to building solutions for a better future. CSR has had first-hand experience in types of prefabrication. CSR Velocity in 2015, CSR commissioned Wyman Equipment in Ingleburn, New South Wales, to supply prefabricated housing elements to developer builders in Sydney, supplying and installing prefabricated walls, cassette floors, roof trusses and cassettes. Over the subsequent years of the business, we delivered over 200 prefabricated homes, ranging from multi-residential, double, single stories, while developed numerous systems. Over the subsequent years, so I essentially started my journey within CSR in 2015 in the Velocity business. We also had a business, CSR Enclose, which provided unitised rain-free facade systems suitable for commercial or multi-residential projects. Design and prefabricated offsite at a factory in Port Kembla, New South Wales. The CSR Enclose system was quick to install and averaged 200 square metres completed facade installed per day. It was a unitised rain screen facade that allowed a selection of different aesthetic claddings. Our learnings and insights, so designs need to suit the production of prefabricated elements. The prefabricated scope of works need to fundamentally change the build, project scale and timing consistency to enable the manufacturing operation to streamline processes and operations continuously and adapt products to components that fabricators can utilise in their process. That's primarily what I'll be discussing today. And that's where I applied the foundation for a new project within CSR and a new solutions project, which was solutions for prefab construction. With the establishment of my current role within customer solutions to support customers and this segment to develop and optimise materials and systems to the segment aligned to delivery methodology. I found the main constraint to manufacturing operation viability is consistency of demand. It is not overall quantity. My drive and focus on design principle and standardisation was to drive cost and time efficiencies in the front end, which would have a greater financial benefit, driving a consistent demand and scale, thus reducing overall costs and driving factory utilisation. Design standardisation, or what I call design principles, is integral to achieve scale, resulting in operational or factory utilisation. It enables consistency to design, operations processing. While to date this has been daunting and difficult to implement, in my opinion, it's viewed too broadly. My view is that there are standards in every design, depending on how deep you look at it. It starts with walls, setting of ceiling heights, total wall heights of any substrate. This leads to consistency of stud lengths, transport heights, operational processes, and generating a starting envelope. Consistency of material heights at each horizontal joint of any substrate. This leads to driving quality assurance, design, operations, and site works design, notably landscape or interaction with the site. An example is that I duplicated base cladding underscale dimension to all walls, driving a simple fabrication. Ground floor, first floor were the same, benefiting operations and logistic requirements. The design principles applied to walls can optimise material sizing, suited to overall heights, maximising yield. Process operation times, cutting and installation, benefiting procurement with less material SKUs or types. It's also a foundation to standard internal lining sizing, installation, wraps, cavity batten placement. Accessories and components. Regarding an external wall, I've been reviewing consistency of batten accessories across a range of cladding types, providing different aesthetics depending on the system performance, driving installation time, set out, and overall wall width, which drives your junction set out. Aims to standardise the wall size and shape while providing aesthetic facade choices within the principles. Window sizing. Commonly, windows are supplied and set out in brick gauge. This results in panelised facade materials not being considered, leading to the additional cutting and waste, optimising the window size and placement to suit the material being used. In conjunction with standard base floor and roof junctions to external facade material, above and below the windows can now be optimised to project requirements to a pick and place of materials as opposed to pre-processing. Also drive consistent span load tables, standard lintel configurations to standard window schedules with support studs, and now the sub-assembly station can operate de-linked from design or a live project. Floor cassettes or module bases can additionally take material optimisation. The sizing is typically dependent on logistics, transport requirements or a structural span, lifting tables, we can take these same principles towards material requirements to standard sizing. This can also be replicated to ceiling systems above. System functions to suit prefabrication, cladding systems and aesthetic finishings. Example is cemental cladding facades and how the system performs and interacts with junctions if installed as a panelised system or a module to module. Not on site where water barriers can be cleared around corners. Now walls, floors and ceiling window placements and junctions, whether it's 2D or 3D, can be aggregated to generate project customisation. The example on the right is using a 300mm increment system to utilise 600mm panels, which are in yellow, and 300mm panels, which are in teal, maximising product yield, reducing waste, reducing time, and a simple installation. Leveraging design principles can encourage the design delivery intent while still providing aesthetic choice with controlled incremental changes. Design principles, while efficient in operations and installation processes, also drives a constant process from the end to end, including procurement. Materials and system aligned to the previous slides can drive a systematic approach to procurement and consistent volume with less material types. Each detail is standard also benefits compliance assurance, window flashing treatments, transition junctions and firewalls. Example, each project is an aggregation of standard walling, ceiling and flooring types in combination with standard system and junctions, aligning the system performance with design specification. So while CSR won't drive a certain delivery methodology or design brief, I'm keen to engage in how materials as systems can align with operations, driving system development and tailored solutions to this segment. As a summary, system development is prefabrication, including alternative fixing methods for fire-rated walls, rigid air barrier acting multiple performances, class 3 permeable membranes with bracing properties, alternatively need for bracing and wrap. Fire-rated junctions between walls and floors, including modular systems, developing Hebel floor cassettes, providing structural flooring to projects with FRL, acoustics or thermal performance. The launch of Glassrock X, a fiberglass veil gypsum board that has a class 4, but permeable, suitable for climate zones 2 to 8. It's weatherproof for 6 months and has bracing properties and completed a full-scale fire test. Design optimization, maximising material yield and installation efficiency, and then system development of gyprock boundary walls suitable for panelised or modular projects, and also heat grids and tenancy blocks. Lastly, I'm excited to continually develop optimised solutions for this growing segment, understand customer operational process and how materials can benefit an overall delivery methodology. Willing to share our own insights and experience, failures and success to collectively learn and see the scale of prefab construction in Australia. We've been sharing developments through our manufacturing, standard component types, junctions, design library catalogues, our range of system developments that met our needs from design through to construction. CSR PPVC, which is in the centre there. So we developed a system in 2018, primarily for the Singapore market at the time, with IP around vertical and horizontal structural steel module connections, projects, and the IP and the structural certification for the large projects of 50 stories. Each connection is a standard and can be mass produced with components. We built a live-scale 3-level prototype in New South Wales, while originally targeting as masonry for the Singapore market. With the Hebel modules, this would benefit in Australia to integrate a range of other walling, flooring and ceiling systems, driving diversity in the supply chain. The volumetric system that enables the design parameters or principles. Also, some of the items discussed today on the example of how design, manufacture and installation can also be optimised to the material being used. Building supply company in regional New South Wales has pioneered development of a Hebel solid our Hebel solid IP. Utilising Hebel Power Panel Plus floors and walls to construct volumetric modules with varying span intersecting floor cassettes, panelised clad with delivering a range of project design customisation. Volumetric modules or room typologies that are an aggregation of standard material products. So everything that makes up that design is an aggregation of standard products. There's no pre-processing, it's just an aggregation of building materials. These walling components can additionally be componentised to lightweight cladding products and tailored to optimise product size. Thank you. I look forward and hope to continue engagement and collaboration to drive development and CSR support in this segment in Australia to continue to develop CSR solutions for prefab construction.
Thank you very much, Ryan. That's great. You know, one thing I recognise is that, you know, with the reduction in waste, you're getting that reduction in costs. So great outcome environmentally as well as cost-wise. So like our next speaker is Wayne Larson, PT Blink.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. We are very proud to be sponsoring this event. I think it's an important event, and we spend a lot of time pushing against the breeze, pushing up our uphill and trying to convince people that the time for change is now or it's past. It's great to be in a room with people that are like-minded and see the world the same way. That's how I will try and keep my money in my pocket, but I can't afford the F-bomb surcharge. See how we go.
Right, it's now 20
yeah, so PT Blink, we are a construction technology business. We take a platform-based approach to delivering multi-story buildings, and this building you can see here on the slide, you may recognize if you turn to your left and look up the hill to the silhouette at the top of the hill, that's the building right there. So 588 Boundary Street, Spring Hill. It was a building that was built using offsite manufacturing technology at the core. I'll use it as a bit of a case study towards the end, so we'll get into some detail. We've got a lot of information about all the reasons why we need to change, but what we would say is that the way we deliver property today is fundamentally broken. Basically, the industry is at a sustainability crisis. We use far too much labour, we use far too much energy, we use far too much more about land, capital, and all sorts of other things that we use far too much of in an unsustainable way. And not to mention, I guess, the high rates of maim and death that occur on construction sites, traditional construction sites, as well as the fact that the industry is shrinking. We have more people leave the industry than enter every day. And we end up in a situation where we have effectively a Hunger Games of, do we build civil infrastructure in capital works, or can we build buildings that we even need to house people? We can't have both, we just don't have the capacity. So from our perspective, we say that we need to find ways to liberate the construction industry, find ways to decouple the way that we deliver from the number of people that we have in the construction industry. The way we do that is by manufacturing the built environment. MMC, we all love an acronym and we have our own. Ours is called DMI, Design, Manufacture, Integrate. And it does exactly what it says on the box. Bring design forward so that we can design for manufacturing and break the building up into a kit of parts that can be manufactured in parallel through multiple manufacturing swim lanes. Manufacturing take from design and go straight into manufacturing. So we're not having the situation where we're having to estimate, redraw, remodel items for manufacturing. Have it in a way that we can go have a single digital thread that goes from design, first we design all the way through the process. So you've got a living digital twin all the way through, and integrate. Basically bring the building together as a kit of parts and couple traditional build versus offsite manufacturing in an efficient way that's most efficient for every building. And every building will be slightly different. Some buildings will have a high proportion of offsite manufacturing, some will have a less proportion of offsite manufacturing. We have two key pieces of technology. One is a structural system, so off-site manufactured flat-packed superstructure, which is for multi-story buildings. Multi-story buildings, I mean, when we say multi-story, we're talking 4 stories and up generally. We'll get to some videos later, but basically we take the superstructure away off the critical path, and that unlocks the economics for all of the other building elements, facades, internal walls, bathrooms, vertical reticulation and services. We also couple that with a design software, which is enabling a manufacturer's marketplace. So we don't manufacture anything ourselves. We license our technology to local manufacturers, and we're looking for manufacturers that have the capabilities and the technologies to take a digital pathway into manufacturing, but have latent capacity. So instead of having to go and build new factories and find demand for those new factories, we're looking for existing factories and bringing them up the value chain, filling capacity and bringing unit costs down by using deployed capital that's already out there. And how does it work? So if you think of the way we build aeroplanes, we all like to talk in analogies, but you think of the way that we build an aeroplane, you have a fuselage, or a car, you have a chassis. We have a superstructure that we then bring our offsite components and fix to that chassis. So start with a geometric datum that you can rely on, and then bring all the other elements into the process. So we end up with a distributed supply chain and an offsite kit of parts that comes in a flat pack form. We're not modular, we're not volumetric, we are a flat pack kit of parts. A quick video here just to explain what that looks like. So the way that we tend to operate is generally we can come in after development applications, so after a design is already posted, and disaggregate the design down and coordinate a kit of parts approach. So conforming to architecture, not driving architecture. In some instances, that means that you end up with some compromise in terms of structural efficiency, and sometimes it means that you get better outcomes from a performance and delivery. Driving through very fast iterations in terms of parametric designs, that you're getting all the parts designed from source straight into an engineering model, which means we're cutting down the design time in a significant way. That means two things. One, we've got a digital thread that goes all the way through the building, and we've got full traceability back through the supply chain. It also means that we're coordinating design at an early stage and working with the builder and the design teams in the projects to get the best outcomes in terms of product selections, manufacturer selections, logistics, and the way that the building is going to go together on the site. Local manufacturers, and talk in detail about that in a second, but we have about 400 manufacturers that we're working with up and down the east coast of Australia. About 20% of those are in southeast Queensland. Our major steel manufacturers in Toowoomba, and we have good partnerships all around southeast Queensland, which we're always expanding that reach and that ecosystem. We're typology agnostic. The superstructure or the kit of parts applies to any building typology. Today we're talking mostly about residential apartment buildings and how we deliver more homes, but it extends across the spectrum into commercial office buildings, hotels, student accommodation and co-living, data centres and big civil infrastructure. Some of our strategic partnerships, and the critical one that I want to point to on this slide is Sumitomo Australia. A lot of the discussions have been around finance and how the banking model and the payment systems don't necessarily suit offsite manufacturing. We're starting to solve that with Sumitomo Australia, whereby because we're making products offsite, not materials offsite, even though it's not a fixed to them, we've got a product that we can transfer title to and use as security. We're now developing a payment system where we get manufacturers paid at a piece rate for value that's been added in the factory and bridge the balance, which takes significant pressure off the developers' finance cash flow. It also takes significant pressure off builder balance sheets, which means that smaller builders can get into bigger projects with less balance sheet exposure. Quick overview of our ecosystem. As I said, we've got a significant growing ecosystem driven by developers, and it's a two-sided marketplace. We've got 240 developers that we're working with who are pulling volume through all of these offsite manufacturers. And there's a few of them there. Quickly, Southeast Queensland, we've got 60 or 80 manufacturers across Southeast Queensland across different typologies. We do a lot of work with Ryan and CSR around interface design and how we connect facade to internal walls, how we do fire compartmentalisation, all that kind of thing, and detail out the interfaces, not necessarily the systems. And I think for the government members in the room, the important thing about this is It's about creating manufacturing jobs from our perspective. So it's not about new construction jobs. It's not about taking away from construction jobs. It's about adding to capacity by creating new manufacturing jobs. And our calculations for every apartment that's delivered using our methodology is about 1.5 full-time manufacturing jobs that gets created. So with 400 apartments, that's 600 full-time jobs. 10,000 apartments, that's 15,000 full-time manufacturing jobs that in the region or in the vicinity and local around the projects being delivered. And the important thing about those jobs is they're more accessible, they're more flexible, they can work shifts, more available to people that don't have either the physical abilities or the desire to work on a construction site. Quickly, the case study of the building up the road here is the Springfield Fells Apartments. It was a 7-story apartment building, 32 apartments, essential worker accommodation. So for the nurses and doctors in the hospital here, it was a 1,100 square metre block, 3 to 1 FSR. Building was delivered as a kit of parts and delivered from the factory up into Toowoomba on the back of the truck, and everything was loaded off the back of the truck. The building went up with 5 people on site. The superstructure went up with five people on site. So significantly lower complexity on site, and in a highly congested, difficult access area like Spring Hill. Everything coming in off the delivery, going straight in the site, no laydown areas. Second work. There we go. And this is just a quick video of the building going up. So superstructure going up with 4 key elements: columns, header beams, blade walls. So there's no core. You can see there's no core there as the building's going up, and floor cassettes, all of it manufactured off-site. Reinforcement within, fire collars, fire protection, all the set downs, everything. So it's a floor plate ready to pour concrete on day one. It's a co-compliant pathway through the Australian steel standards and the composite codes. For that building there, which was 32 apartments, it went up in half the time. So it was a 48% time saving off the conventional program. 8.5 months for 32 apartments from start to finish. You can see it's still standing. The mathematics around the project, IRA increased from about 7% to 20%. ROI, sorry, and IRA exceeded 60% on that project. Small project, small sample size, but very, very good outcomes for the developer. But more importantly, essential worker accommodation, $515,000 per door for that building delivered, excluding land. But the mathematics work out. Generally, we're about half the time of the conventional build for a high-rise construction. And from a housing delivery perspective, that is liberating construction. It's not challenging construction, and it's creating new manufacturing jobs. So very excited, and we've got a lot of projects that are starting to take shape in and around Southeast Queensland. This is the busiest market in the country for. There's something going on in 2032 out here. There's a lot of things, but it's a busy market, and we have projects on the Gold Coast, we have projects in Brisbane, we have projects all the way up to Townsville, Mackay, and places like that, Outlet and Switch and Toowoomba. So it's an exciting area, and I think we're here to help, as they say, and excited to be part of the conversation. So thank you.
Thanks, Alan. Guys, we're going to have one more of the sponsors' presentations, and then we will have a break. And I promise you, we will catch up the time, so everyone will be able to leave bang on time, so no one's going to be late. Bear with me. So, we now have Brad, Inspiration Group. Really looking forward to this. This is a builder who is doing MMC. Come up here and share your vision and your story. And thanks for the sponsorship, mate. And remember those F-bombs, I'm taking 10 bucks.
Hi everybody, my name is Brad Mays. I am the owner of Integration Group, who's a small tier 3 builder in Queensland, based on the Gold Coast. I've been into MMC for 25 years in total. So to see this shift and federal support, ongoing support into what is MMC, which my view is not everybody's fully across what MMC is, really, to be honest, but we're getting there. I think this information in this event today is really, really helping everybody. I'm not going to sell Integration Group at all. I'm just going to be part of sharing the message, giving my story of what I've been through in the last 20, 25 years. And it sort of came around from meeting Martin, meeting PT Blink. I've built a PT Blink building out in Caboolture. I did a full analysis review on the one in Spring Hill 8 to 10 years ago. So it came from meeting these guys and my passion for MMC, and you know, it wasn't really happening, to be honest with you, in Australia or Queensland. And in recent times, it's starting to get shifted and starting to get a bit of a movement. So every meeting I've been going to with these guys, it's really an understanding of what MMC is. And I'm assuming everybody in this room would know what MMC is, because that's where you're sitting here, right? And if you don't, maybe you're here to understand what we believe MMC is. So if I could just give you a quick insight into what we do, it's basically about my experiences and how I'm really a bit of a champion towards MMC, and exciting to do a nice big project on the Gold Coast with our client who's in the room and with PT Blink to show you that we can make MMC. Well, just before I start this, I was in a meeting actually with Martin a couple of days ago, and the end of the meeting went, Australia's not ready for this, mate, is it? Well, hopefully he's just proved with his presentation, with CSR, one of the biggest suppliers in Australia, with all the systems that they've got, PT Blink systems, the Modscape systems, all the new systems that are out there, Australia is bloody ready. I didn't swear. Australia's bloody ready for MMC, and it just needs us to spread the word and go into a meeting and go, do you know what? I think you might be able to do that a different way. So, and that's what we've been really championing, to see if people can think outside the box and do it a different way. I'll stop talking now and I'll go through the slideshow. So, modern methods of construction, MMC, if nobody knew what that was, because sometimes we do go in, and MMC to me is modern methods. MMC isn't just about dropping a box on the floor, isn't about just bringing a bathroom pod in, isn't just about a modular wall. Modern methods of construction is actually a totally different, unique way of thinking of construction and being innovative. So that's improving every little component in construction, from logistics to safety to QA to the actual installation to the maintenance and even the life cycle management of a building. So it's a little bit deeper than just adding in components. So again, this is what we're just trying to do. We're trying to champion. MMC is about replacing what we do. It's collectively striving just to do it better, change the benefits of our industry and the next generation of our builders. So there's been a lot of discussion in our meetings that we've been going to, that the youth of today doesn't want to be a builder. They don't want to do steel work. They don't want to do. So what do we do to embrace these people, engage them, including my children, to come back to construction or being into construction? I think MMC has the opportunity to bring them back into where we've got some gaps. So we're not involving construction, and we're not replacing it. We are just modifying and using better methods to make it a better environment to work in. Again, my experience with MMC, it's a very holistic approach. There's a company in the UK I work for. We did a little, I went out to Dubai and did a little bit in Dubai as well, and they call it the 360 approach. It's pretty much starts at the feasibility. It goes into a concept design, which is similar now to your DA component, what we've got in Queensland. And then you've got the MMC market test. So can the components from MMC actually fit into your concept design to move it forward? If it can all fit into that design, we then go into a deep BIM collaboration design, which is bringing in technology, it's bringing in what our youth are learning today. And it's using them technology systems and that data technology to its full extent to make better designs, give you better construction, and even maintain, operate your building for the next 20 years. So asset management, huge. My experience, again, delivery, so it's the design. It's funny, while MC is looking forward, actually do need to go back. So my view on that is that D&C is literally a concept of 40–50% of what I receive as a builder who does D&C. To go back to, let's go back to traditional design. It's fully designed. Everybody knows what they're doing. Even my site team know what they're doing without asking a million questions and 2,000 RFIs that I get. And go back to traditional design where we actually engage the professional design properly, but we use digital technology to assist us with improving that and making it better. Supply chain. There's a huge supply chain. Again, I'll put it on there. It's Queensland ready. Yes, you are. You're about the 5th to 10th local company that's actually in Queensland really wanting this to take place and this to happen, and for the support and for everybody to be pioneers and catalysts for this MMC. Digitalisation, QA. Again, using all the systems out there to improve your QA. Manufacturers are doing it all the time. We need to bring that to construction. That's what we need to do. Train and mentor. Massive, massive gap that hopefully my little company in a way can assist, and I'll get to that later on, is that we need to train and mentor not just the people that are already in construction at the moment, but also the youth that are coming through. So training and mentoring programs at the moment I believe are huge, and Daniel, I've noticed you'll hear something from Griffith University that we've been talking to recently about helping us with a training and mentoring program for MMC based on the Gold Coast in a new factory we're purchasing in Burley. Construction methods, again, same thing. It's about the method of delivering the construction. It's not about displacing any chains. It's not about changing anything. There's no spaceships coming. It's just basically having a good collaborative chat about how we can improve everything for the future. Project delivery outcomes, yes, on a few projects I've been on, there's been some challenges, there's been some lessons learned. You don't always do it right. They're on iPhone Rev 6, I think, 16, sorry. So, you know, we will get there, it's step by step. But the outcomes that I've noticed on my projects is that the gateways, the better detailed designs, the QA control has all improved the delivery, and they've actually been some successful projects. And also data demonstration from around the world has actually proved that MFC does work if it's delivered properly. The Steve Jobs and Apple effect really is pretty simple for me to refer to somebody like that. And we talk about it all the time, even when I'm with clients. You know, the guy revolutionized the mobile phone. He didn't do it on his own, but he did it with multiple components into one system, a mobile phone. It's exactly what MMC does. It gets multiple components from suppliers and improves the construction and hopefully delivers you an iPhone of a building that you can then use and maintain for the next 20 years. The pathway forward is a positive mindset. The reason I put this one in, and again, every meeting we go to, it's so easy for everybody to actually go backwards in meetings. Oh yeah, but that won't work. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, why are we in the room? We're in the room to be pioneers for MMC, to change people's mindset and give it a go and say, yes, this will work. I believe this will work. Let's test it. Let's challenge it at least. Let's not just dismiss it in the first design meeting we have. So as champions, I'd really, really like to see more positive mindset. Embracing the challenge of change. This is quite funny as well, because this happened at the FCon, when I was at the FCon conference. And I did a project back in the UK for Nokia. And there's a comment there saying, are you still playing Snake? Because that was their best game that they had on their system at the time. It was pretty good. But during my years as the site supervisor, I worked at Nokia headquarters. It was the flagship technical part for their business. Ironically, they utilised MMC as part of its delivery. So they were innovational, right? They were fantastic. And they actually championed the project, and it was a very, very successful project. So once Europe's leading mobile provider, Nokia failed to adapt to their smartphone innovation. So despite the world's largest mobile manufacturer, their market share fell by 30% after the iPhone was launched in 2007. That building got sold to BMW. So they were no longer at their headquarters around Europe and the UK because they failed to adapt to innovation. So again, MMC is something I think that we need to grab hold of and try and see if we can champion the delivery of MMC. A quick personal experience was my son. My son's got a broken foot at the moment. He's actually he's an apprentice electrician. And we brought him into the office, and every project you do, again, drawings, comparisons of drawings from tender to construction, We usually do an overlay, we do a schedule, we do a bill of quantum against that schedule to work out how much money the difference is in the design change. He came into my office, we gave him a challenge, something to do. He literally did the overlay in a system we use called Procore. He extracted it from Procore, stuck it into AI and said to AI, please write me a comparison and a schedule, please, for this tender to construction comparison. And within 2 hours, he presented it and sent it to the team. That was, to me, I was just like, what we do is we need to understand that. So yes, it wasn't 100% correct, it was AI, but it gained some great more momentum to shift into putting more systems and AI into my business of where we're going to go in the future. FCON, again, just quickly, the overview of FCON was, as I like to, where I work with clients backwards and forwards in multiple projects in multiple countries, I always try to look on the other side of the fence when I'm witnessing things or going to events. FCON started off by doing a presentation, and it was a fantastic event, and I suggest everybody go to it next year if you haven't been for future construction. But when I went there, it started off with 3D BIM management, being managed to its extreme. It was fantastic. It then quickly went into system 3D modeling, which was based on Procore and viewing. And then the whole conference finished on Bluebeam's the best 2D markup tool on the market. That's how it went. So you imagine being a doctor or a nurse, I'm sitting there thinking, you must be there thinking, you guys don't know what you're doing. You've literally gone from innovation and technology, but you're now selling a product that's the best because it's the simplest in the market and is delivering what we're doing right now. So it's a fantastic event. But again, from my view, the take is that we need to do better. Small steps to support our industry and modern methods. Unfortunately, my actual design for the one factory isn't actually on it. But we are going to be collaborating with a hub for MMC partners that everybody's welcome to come to. It should be 200 to 300 square meters of hot desk in open space. Martin's probably going to base himself there for a little while. Digital Learning Centre for Graduates, again with Daniel Griffith. We're actually going to, hopefully, with some support, really test these digital systems and make sure that they are working before they go to the construction sites. We're also going to get them in a mentoring program that we're hoping that we can get engineers to mentor the graduates in our digital training space, and then also take them to our building sites, in particular Soma that we're going to be building in Southport, so they actually learn and train on the job. MMC supplier showroom, there's a small showroom there for pods and anything that's MMC, so you can actually come to Berlin and physically feel it and touch it. So you understand what some of the MMC components are. That should be ready hopefully in February next year. And then there's a small fabrication and training centre at the back that we'll provide to hopefully assist with training people to put together some kits of parts and some assemblies, some simple construction to help the construction site. So my message really is just that keep innovating. We need to collaborate. We need to educate. We need to start to implement some of this stuff. Yeah, it's not going to be perfect. I know that as a builder. I'm putting my balls on the line. I'm putting my balls on the line for Southport because I believe in it. I'm a champion of it, and I know I'm smart enough to make it work. So what we'll do though is the future of construction isn't something that happens to us. It's something that we create and something that we need to do together. We all need to champion this. So if anything we get from today, somebody goes to a meeting tomorrow and you do actually see a project and you go, I think you might want to do that better, then please just raise that question and challenge that to see if we can get MMC moving. That's it for me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well done, Brian. Yeah, you can have two this time. So everyone, thanks for bearing with us. We're slightly over time, but as promised, we'll catch it up. So we've got 10 minutes now. Everyone get up, go to the loo, have a drink, glass of water, beer, and then don't worry, I've got a loud voice. I'll call you in 10 minutes. Thank you. No. Just fine. So everyone grab a drink, grab another one if you want. Don't be shy. And we start taking our seats, please. Yeah.
Next week.
Okay, can everyone hear me? I've got this. Okay. Get your glasses on. How are those filters? Everyone, they all right? Okay. So really looking forward to this panel. Thanks, guys. What we do is we try and do a quick fire and we try and have some interaction. I've assured everyone we're trying to leave at 6:30. So if we just go through, and everyone, do you want to start with you there and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Leah Lang. I'm a Queensland Government Architect, about 3.5 years in the role now. So diverse sort of portfolio. So I'm gazetted to work across whole of government, so all architecture and design advice, and that can be health, education. Obviously, we're in the housing department and public works. And initially, we, I guess, catalysed the MMC program with Built, so in partnership with Built. And having an active building arm in Queensland is quite rare. So not the other states don't seem to have such an active building arm. So we've been able to do quite a lot, we think. We're sort of think, talk, make is our sort of mantra. So that's been really good. So hopefully some of the questions will lead to that.
Excellent. Thanks, Leah.
Well, everyone met me earlier, so hello again. It was lovely to network with you all just now.
Thank you. Yes, we've heard of you. Thank you. Ross here. I'm with an organisation called Build Skills Australia, all one word because it's 2025 and that's the way we do it. Well, firstly, fucking good turnout. So we set standards for vocational education and training for the construction industry. So what TAFE teaches, we set those standards and requirements. And we also have an arm of the business, which is my part of the business, which is research and workforce planning. So we're really interested in this conversation of MMC, what it's going to do to jobs, what it's going to do to the skill content of those jobs, and then how we need to refactor the training system so that when we're 10 years down the runway and this is the new normal, you've actually got a workforce that can do this stuff. So thanks for having me.
Awesome.
Hi everybody, yeah, thanks for having me. Rob Classics, I'm an engineer and you can hear from my dulcet tones, originally from Scotland, but I was pretty involved, if you like, in the kind of MMC transformation that happened in the UK. So a lot in and around the kind of health programs and schools programs and setting those up and making them suitable for MMC. Been fortunate to move to Australia, and especially at the time where we're at this precipice and you really feel this this momentum. My current role is the GM for Modscape. We're one of the founders, if you like, really around volumetric manufacturing, and been around for about 19 years. Started as bespoke architectural homes, which we still do and are great for brand and marketing and getting out there. But my real passion is about making a difference to our communities within social infrastructure. So yeah, I'm here in Queensland and we're looking to grow and develop and hopefully play a part in that transformation.
Excellent, thanks, Robbie. So look, we're quick firing, so we can cover everything off in the time allowed. So I'll start off with, and we'll just go along the line. What's the one thing we need to get right to make MMC mainstream in Queensland? So over to you there.
Goodness. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, get the design right. Look, I think obviously I believe design is the answer, but I think it's about designing agnostically and not separating it. We keep having this discussion with people that are completely ill qualified to talk about MMC or traditional. I don't like this. It's really, if we design with the outcome in mind, it really shouldn't matter. You know, even if we get to 3D routing or printing, it's really should be an agnostic process, because I'm having people, and that's with tendering, that's with design, and that's then with construction. And then we'll have a lot more competitiveness in the market. I think we'll be able to choose what's right where. We've got a very decentralised state, so it will be about, you know, what's best in the regions. If there's a really great traditional builder, they might do a hybrid approach. If there's not, then we put volumetric. So at the moment, we're just having people trying to put things into a swim lane that makes them comfortable, and it's actually obstructing the program. So,
thank you.
And it would be remiss for me not to mention the planning pathway. So I think to make it a success, we need to, in a similar way, get those planning pathways right. And there is an element of streamlining it, but at the same time, we have 77 councils across Queensland, all with unique, and you know, I'm from Redlands and we think we're the most unique local government in the world, and if you saw yesterday's meeting, we are, but that doesn't take away the fact that our local governments know their areas, and we have to respect that. But how do we systemize things in the planning space to make this work? So I think for it to be successful, we have to go down that path.
Thanks.
No F-bombs.
Okay, just for one.
Right.
It's going to be hard. So we had the design response, the sort of red tape reduction response. I'm an economist, so I'll give you my economist lens on this. I think the whole structure of the industry is preventing this from happening. I mean, how many people I've spoken to tonight already who have been doing this quote unquote for 20, 30 years, and yet we're still here. So it's not about technology. It's frankly not about a lack of design capability. It's the structure of our industry does not allow these things to penetrate. So it's everything from the way jobs are financed. So often I hear, particularly when I'm in Canberra, they're so out of touch down there, but you know, they'll tell me that why is it the builders aren't innovating? They'll ask me. And I'll say, well, why do you keep looking at the builder? Because really under a traditional, say, construct only sort of model, the builder just builds what they're told. And it's all stitched up by the designers and the owners before it even hits a builder to be priced. So unless we're like taking a whole of systems view, the market for development, not construction, is what's holding us back, and that's really what needs to change. And that's why we're seeing all the action in the government at the moment rather than the private sector, because the government's risk appetite is very different, a bit more fiscal space and so on. So we need to find ways to crack in to that private sector market to really start scaling this germ of a opportunity that we've got here.
Thank you.
Thank you. The question is, what do we do? And I think this room is a pretty diverse room, and probably all preaching to the converted. So, I mean, if it's one thing, if you allow me maybe a couple, but put it into practice and do it, and that is happening. Yeah. So we are doing that now, and we are putting it into practice, and we are demonstrating it. But along with that, we need to tell as many people and measure and put the stats. I think someone talks about stats, people love stats, but really measure it and really tell people about it and demonstrate that success. So, you know, marketing, arguably, I think one of the barriers was around I think you mentioned that people don't think it's high quality. I just had a conversation networking around about sure foot and screw piles, getting the technical, but like, let's not mess it up when we are doing this in scale.
Excellent. No, that's some great thoughts there. I think a big barrier, and we've seen this a lot, It's the procurement bit, particularly around government procurement. Now, let's open that up. So, Leah, what's your view on the world with procurement? Modern methods of procurement versus traditional procurement?
Look, it's a good question. It is complex. I think through our program, we've had, 11 now to sort of 10 suppliers, and ModSteps has been one of those. Solterra here. It's been a hard road. Like, I guess we started with a group of people that can manufacture and make really well. The fact is we need houses and they need to be sited on land. That split component where we thought we could make things and then get the land ready has caused inordinate trouble. We've got contracts that make us commit to either MMC or traditional early on. We don't have the ready, utility ready land. So at the moment, the bottleneck through procurement is actually having the land supply. So we've got now racking and stacking houses in the racks, in cans, in all our manufacturers, and we can't get them out to site quicker. So as much as it's great to make a great, house, a great widget, we kind of now need the manufacturers to sort of head contractor and start delivering it on ground. Because it isn't a car, you would expect Toyota to make the roads, but unfortunately we kind of need the manufacturers to sort of, be able to site and do the civils. So it's either find a friend and partner if you do your thing really well, or try to take on that risk themselves. And government for, into the future that I can see will still want to divest that risk and say we want to get one contract with someone that's going to deliver for us. We're not going to take on that responsibility. So
Excellent.
I think there's a really huge opportunity though in that space. So again, I want to just talk about the residential activation fund. So a lot of feedback we got, and we've talked to UDIA and master builders and a lot of people across the spectrum about a trunk infrastructure and the fact that we can't get land developed enough. So the government has come out with the $2 billion residential activation fund. We actually were so heavily subscribed to that program in the first tranche that we pulled forward $500 million of that. So $1 billion is going out, and my minister's trudging across the state right now and giving out money like it's monopoly. You have some,
Yes,
you have some cans, here you have some. So because we identify that the councils cannot do all the heavy lifting around sewerage and roads, and we're going to give that help. And then second to that is this being a builder developer situation, and I would echo what Leah has said, find a friend and do it together, because I am in rooms with developers every day of the week where they feel like a builder developer model becomes really unfeasible. They want to develop the land and get out. This is an opportunity for those who are the builders to get in partnership with those guys and then get on the land and build the houses. Government has a really good opportunity in the space to lead the way, as Leah and QBuild and our team have, and we can do that. But at the same time, we can't do everything we need to do. We need the private market. So I would encourage you to do that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think I was about to say what you were going to say, so I'm not going to say it because you said it much better than I did, or than I would. But what I would say is, so your Queensland Government Productivity Commission, great initiative, by the way, doing an inquiry at the moment on housing productivity. We made a submission to that. Federal Productivity Commission, same thing, same sort of inquiry, same questions being asked. And we always say the same thing. The one thing that governments could do to really, I guess, restructure some of the incentives, not just in housing, but right across the capital landscape, everything from bridges to IT contracts, is just put in a clause in your tender documents that requires innovation and productivity-led kind of incentives. We do it for skills, we do it for Indigenous participation, female participation, we've got all the targets, ESG everywhere. Why not productivity? Like, let's embed that in public sector procurement.
Excellent.
Really good point. And if anyone's not read Rob's productivity LinkedIn post, it's very much worth a read. And I think the capital deepening and multi-factor points are very well made. It didn't come to a conclusion on how we collectively measure productivity, though. Hopefully these commissions might make some headway. I think going question procurement reform, government's role. I think lay the platform. So we're doing it now. Government is the one that will give us the ability to demonstrate. So we are doing that. But then if government are the ones that are going to demonstrate and be the pathfinders, it's going to be the private sector that will supercharge that and make it mainstream. So when thinking about these procurement models and us delivering these at scale pathfinders, what does that transition look like? So can we have some, effort and thought into procurement models that will allow the private sector to supercharge it? I think so. Yeah, let's not just leave it as a market.
Sorry, I didn't mean to circle back to me, but I should mention that we have also got PMAC, which is, it rounds out the trilogy of our MACs. So we've got BMAC, HMAC and PMAC. And PMAC is the Procurement Ministerial Advisory Committee. So people in this space sitting at the table giving this advice to the Minister, and there is going to be a whole new model put out there. But I would urge you to get in, and if you haven't given feedback, have you?
To PMAC or?
Yeah.
Productivity Commissioner.
Oh, I've given feedback to productivity. Yeah. I think just procure it as a manufacturing program. I think the simple thing is that we still procure it as a construction program. And I think you made that point.
Yeah. Awesome. So I did promise everyone that we're going to have some interaction here. So we're going to do a real quick fire one. So this is a good one. Right. If we're all sat down here in 10 years' time, what does success look like? Up to you. Put you on the spot.
Oh, that's a hard one. I thought that was meant to be the end. And
Well,
if I could have called public transport, I'd had 3 wines. I guess, we were excited about the program and excited about partnering. I think we do want to be a national leader in Queensland. I think we really can. I think, like I said, the think talk don't overthink it, but it's important we think about it, but it's important we do it together. And we've seen that. We've seen innovations that we can get, when we work together. But similar to what everyone on the panel has said, we've got to prioritise innovation. At the moment, everything we've got, because budgets are tight, is capital cost focus. In non-price criteria, there is no allowance for innovation, so therefore it's not being valued. So every time we come up, I'm weaponised against price, against time and quality. I just cannot seem to get this as an equal playing field, so we just need to do better. We need to have better criteria of what we're thinking about, where we want to be, and have government be able to be a foundational partner to support that.
Yeah, and that's Queensland government. And if you get me started about New South Wales government, that's when the F-bomb does get.
Like the state of origin, we just want it more. Well, yeah, I mean, if we look.
Let's not talk about premierships.
Okay. I never quote football ever, and I held on to that one because it worked on another thing. So, 10 years time, we still have an LNP Chris-Fully government. That would be nice. But I'm sitting in a crowd like this, and we don't have a healthcare crisis, a housing crisis, a crime crisis. We have a strong economy that supports livability in our state, whatever livability that is, whether you're on the coastline or in our regions, in our agricultural industries or mining. That's success for our team. We've delivered a successful Olympics 2 years ago, and we're still enjoying the legacy of that journey we're all going to be on in the next 7 years. So that would be success for me.
Awesome.
Oh, you've got it.
Okay.
You can try and have that. Yeah.
It's very gendered. Really easy answer from me. The graph that is output of the construction industry versus labour stops going like that and starts going like that. We simply need productivity to improve. That's the only reason why I care about this conversation, is because it's the path to increase productivity, which is the path to increase living standards for all of us. So in 10 years, success looks like that graph going up, not down.
Nice. Robin.
Given we're in an MMC forum, Australia's about 10%, 8%, 10%, something like that. Other mature markets in the world, circa 30% plus. So in 10 years, I'd love to see us delivering 60% in a modern, and you know, not volumetric, but in a modern business. Much more.
Yeah, nice. So can I grab that mic off you guys? I know you guys like to share. Right, so let's go open up the floor. We've got 10 minutes before everyone needs to depart. Who's got the first question?
Okay, for government procurement, this question is there any opportunity for cluster procurement where multiple projects are clustered under a strategic program and a strategic contract that gives stability to builders and to the manufacturers that are involved with MMC for more than just one project? So there's possibly 5 projects in a cluster. Everybody knows they've got 5 years worth of work. The continuity is there for study and for training for 5 years. And also the manufacturers know they've got pipeline of 5 years worth of work instead of this effect. So is that something the government may look at, do you think, as a cluster of procurement?
Great question. I am private sector before I came into government, so I've talked about precinct and batching and aggregating some of our procurement in housing, in a region, do 10 sites and map them out for the next 3 to 5 years with a builder in a consortium partnership to give certainty. I have yet to see the thought move past a site at a time. Remember, you're in a 4-year election cycle, your budget's annual. Some of these things just fundamentally don't mix. Thinking long term, I've tried to discuss having strategic projects that sit above, that are committed to over and above that, and they can hook in as pilot projects to see if we can do it. It's you can sense people start to check out because they just can't see how it would sit. We've looked at centralising housing within government, taking it off all the other departments. I just get, oh, that was done before. I'm like, yeah, not with me, no, you know, very insistent. Yeah, so I think it's things like that. We do need to do it, and even if we can just do it once, there are procurement methods. I mean, the overarching policy is quite broad. When you look at it, it's fair and transparent, and you can do what you like. People say, oh, you can drive a truck through it. I'm like, okay, if I had a truck, I would down through, but I'm still not seeing it applied like that. So it's how it hits the ground. But look, happy to have a further chat. I'm actually from the Gold Coast too, so happy to have a chat and just see whether or not even putting up just a white paper proposal to say, well, what would it look like if we did it, and why can't we then have a crack? We've got avenues, QTC, QIC, so there are investment avenues and arms of government that might be able to have a crack if we don't put it centralised. So yeah.
Martin, did anyone else want to add on to that question?
I read a fascinating book. I read a fascinating book, Democracy of War. It talks about on a war footing type, the mindset around procurement shifts. Hypothetically, if we could say it's 1.2 million homes across Australia, could we change a mindset based on that? And would we get? It was about how Ford geared up and built bombers. But I was like, could we gear up and build houses in the same way? Or social infrastructure.
I like that point. Any other questions? Or would anyone want to add something? Talk about something cool that you do. Project going on. Come on, don't be shy. Yes, you can.
Hi, I'm Jay Lancaster. I'm an Executive Director in the Department of State Development, Infrastructure and Planning. I lead up the regional infrastructure planning process, and what you just talked about in terms of bundling procurement and trialling it in the regions is something that I'm very, very interested in looking at as part of our regional planning process. I think that there are some really big blockers that we've identified, and I know they've been raised at the Housing Roundtable, but there are really good opportunities for us to be able to just tweak the system a little bit and be able to deliver on the housing outcomes. So it's something with the regional infrastructure planning process that's going to unfold over the next 2.5 years. Is going to be something that we can really turn the dial in this space.
Thanks, Joe. Anyone else? Anyone want to add anything? We've still got 5 minutes. Do you guys want to add anything? Yeah.
Thanks, Jay, for pointing that out, and I think that raises the point that people like Jade needing brave ministers to sign off on these things, and when we've got ministers that are motivated by KPIs like 1 million houses, we have to start moving these things and shifting the dial. And my suggestion is, I'm a big thinker, so 5 years, and I think that's great, but maybe just dial it back just a little, just because of those government things around election cycles, budget cycles, bringing it in just slightly, but keep up the big thinking. I think it's great, and it's really heartening to hear from you, Jade, so thank you.
So we've got another question here. Yeah, first a comment and a question, I guess. Comment, I think if we're here talking about this in 5 years' time, it's all failed. I think, until a different method of delivery becomes ubiquitous, then you'll continue to have a problem and continue to go backwards. We won't shift that productivity graph until we actually change. So we actually have to start doing it, not doing what we're doing and talking. The question I have is, what in terms of how we position or brand or discuss change in the industry, we're talking here about modern methods of construction, we're talking about different procurement models. How much of that, I guess, is seen as, confrontational by the industry as a whole, and how can we change the narrative to make it less confronting and less challenging and more acceptable to the orthodoxy?
Interesting question.
Yeah, it is. I think my perspective on that is, certainly my sense, like I'm not sort of in your industry, but I float around the outside of it having these conversations, and there seems to be a lot of appetite for it, except for one notable group of stakeholders in the industry, that hopefully their power has been diminished to the point where it doesn't hold this back greatly. But that question of what's been called distributive coalitions, people who fight over the spoils of economic growth and change and restructuring, I feel like that's a really important barrier that we're going to run up against as this scales. Sorry if I'm taking this in a bit of a tangent, but this is what comes to mind for me around the branding and what is this change and what does it mean for human beings. Like, if we don't get ahead of that narrative, they'll do what they do and they'll cut it off at the knees.
Yeah, a part of what we need to get right is, and something that I probably maybe haven't mentioned tonight, is confidence. So all these little shifts in the dial that you see, and I'll call it for what it is, militant union action erodes confidence in what we're doing. And if we've got our leaders standing with the industry to say, well, we're not going to do that anymore, that gives this room confidence. It gives developers, the people who need to provide the land for companies like yours to put the buildings on, it gives them confidence to do what they do. So I think confidence, and I've always been about not telling people that you need to do this, we need these quotas, we need this percentage of something, because it erodes feasibility, the desire. We need to show people the end result. We need to go, this is the benefit of doing it. And people will want to. Everyone in this room will want to. Developers will want to.
Yeah, I think to turn the dial, it is about confidence and trust. So I think it's about us showing, ironically in Queensland, we've been trucking high quality housing around the back of trucks for 100 years. So volumetrically, it shouldn't have even been an issue. Quality in a controlled environment, none of us would question a car or an iPhone. So it's very funny that, we were joking about it before, that guys in stubbies on the site, all of a sudden, oh, it's my house and that's what I've invested in. So I think it is pivoting. We did a display village to prove it up, because I actually had more trouble in government because of failed modular programs in government. So we had a partnership with EDQ, and for a peppercorn lease, put 4 homes out and got over 600 people. That was my other day job. If it all went tits up, because I could be a just 800 consultant. Housing ministers from all over, like New South Wales, come up, and all of our clients, so people like health, and they were just floored. our biggest thing was if you could walk out of this and say, I would live in this, people are like, I just wish we could give this to our kids. So we start to then knock that whole idea, it doesn't matter about it, it's about quality, it's about doing it quicker, doing it better, so we can all, in our population growth, all have a good home, you know, for us to live in. That's all we really want. So, and then it can go to every other industry as well. Once we've got it, I mean, we'll be looking at, you know, Everton stadiums being built 60% prefabricated off-site. So all of these things, once we've got the smarts, it just scales up, scales back, and we get that confidence.
Excellent. So, we've got one more question. So has everyone got like 3 minutes for another question? We all got 3 minutes? Easy. Okay. Go for it.
Thanks, Martin. This is on to what Wayne was talking about. Speaking about this in 5 years, it all failed. But the elephant in the room, I guess, is we're here to talk about MMC, and I think everyone in development and construction agrees that everything is taking twice as long and costing twice as much right now. So part of that is MMC. Great, we can get a more effective, more efficient building methods to drop that cost and projects go ahead. The other part of that is the planning. It is taking an inordinate amount of time. A 9-lot subdivision that I'm doing personally took 18 months to get approved in Castledine. Outrageous. So we need to solve that along with using MMC to keep the industry moving forward and not constantly hitting brick walls and stalling all the time.
I'll just give you my view in terms of my experience in it. I was involved in the Queensland's MMC programme from the start as a consultant to help deliver those, and now as a manufacturer supporting it. If you like, the evolution in terms of government's maturity and the alignment around about the planning and the DG approvals is exponential. When I went in a month ago for a kick-off meeting, the maturity that sat within that, and that would be the same whether it was government or private sector. And so a lot of lessons learned from the first, and you can see how the continuous improvement has been embedded in. I mean, I can only say positives because it's the planning pathways that we're working under are much more streamlined. I think the challenge now is then how do you broaden that to the likes of the jobs you're talking about.
I don't want to ambush you guys, but I note that the feds have released $3 billion or something to the states to unlock planning regulations and things like that. So I'd be interested to hear what's happening in that space in Queensland.
No, in all seriousness, I hear you loud and clear. It is the number one feedback I get in many rooms that planning pathways have to be better. So, and I hate this saying, but I don't know how to say it any other way. There's no silver bullet. I hate it, but yeah, but no, what I will say is there is a range of things happening. So I've been talking to someone in the room tonight that is in our PDA at Southport. So EDQ has had a complete refocus. I'm hoping that people who deal with EDQ in this room have seen that refocus. If you have not, please come and talk to me around the reasons why, or that you just haven't met with EDQ recently, because we can change that. There has been some planning pathways at a state level that we have paused to get right. One of those is the SFD, the State Facilitated Development Pathway. That is not off the table. It is paused because there was things in that pathway that layer upon layer, things have been put in that made feasibility issues. And we've sat with people and we've heard the feedback and we want to make that right. We understand that if you can get quicker ways to have something come out of the ground or approved, then we can get it out of the ground. And in terms of councils, $13 million just went out statewide to our smaller councils to help bolster their planning departments, because they're struggling to keep up with the everyday approvals, as well as some of the things we're now putting on top of them to get this right. We're in a little bit of a pain phase, and I understand you're coming out of a big pain phase. Jared has a signing off pen. You know, he's signing off as quickly as he can with MIDs, for example. You know, our own departments are looking at Jared for new ambulance stations, new hospitals, new police stations, and that's all going through him as well. But he had a good few years of backlog behind him. But please, if there's something specific that's affecting you, come and talk to me and we'll work it out.
Excellent. So if we got a chance for one more, has everyone got time for, there's one question.
Sorry, it's Steve from Solitaire Modular. It's not so much of a question, but it's probably just sort of looking for points of view as well. I think there will be a lot of success in terms of a lot more modular in Australia in the next 10 years. I actually think the challenge is to make sure that they're Australian made.
Yeah.
That is actually some of our biggest competition at the moment, and it's not just a threat to the modular builders in Australia, it's a threat to the construction industry in Australia that'll go offshore in terms of manufacturing coming in. And we all talk about trying to make modular, you know, improve itself, and it's faster and it's quicker and is it cheaper? I mean, that's the thing. It's very, very hard. And the biggest challenge for modular in Australia is to be cheap. You have to do a lot of volume.
Yeah.
And to do a lot of volume,
You have to have.
you got to be cheap. And it's how do you actually sort of cross that bridge that is the real challenge. I mean, from a domestic housing point of view, you know, you've got the Metricons and the large house builders out there doing 3,000-4,000 homes a year. Whereas a decent sized modular player might be doing 150. The material discounts that those guys are getting make it extremely hard to compete with them. And unless you're actually doing really big, consistent volume, I'm sure on our model the prices will come down a lot, but that's the biggest challenge. How do you get there? And how do you keep the imported modular to a minimum?
Steve, that's all right. It was Steve, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Thanks. I think, have we got another question over here?
Are we responding to that?
Oh, sorry, yeah. Respond to it, yeah. Sorry, that's mine as well.
Steve, how have we not met? I did some numbers as well, in looking at what I wanted to be able to deliver in terms of manufacturing capacity. I think you make an excellent point, because in order to have the capacity to deliver the scale, it's the capital required to invest. And yeah, we're in the same boat, we're wrestling with that. But if I can do what I want to do, I estimate that by Q1 2027, we'll have the ability to manufacture 9,400 modules. Modscape, that's Victoria and Queensland, which is it's the equivalent of just under 5,000 apartments, 2-bed apartments. And I would love you to do the same. And any other modular manufacturers in here, because it's the only way. It's 50,000, isn't it? You said 50,000. So that only does 10% of Queensland. That's the whole of Modscape. So we need Saltair to do that. We need Westbuilt. We need Modern Pods. We need everybody to be doing the same thing.
We've got one more question ahead.
Hey, so I want to know that in this whole process of implementation of modern method construction, where does university stand or on there?
Yeah, I'm going to speak to that a little bit. Our focus is mainly on the vocational space, so the TAFE sort of level qualifications. But what's really interesting is this movement in NMC is collapsing that boundary between the TAFE and the higher ed sort of stuff. And there's really this sort of missing middle, to borrow a phrase later, in the education stream, where we're just not giving anyone in particular the right set of skills to move in. It's not a trade, but it's not an engineer either. There's this sort of middle layer of highly digital, highly data-driven sort of professionals, paraprofessionals that I think will emerge and move into this space. that there's a real gap in our training ecosystem to serve that. And that's something where Build Skills are really interested in unpacking and trying to future-proof that. Good question, thanks.
So, may I add something? So, university I would like it as a training or kind of teaching sector, but there are some other research sectors in university as well. For example, I did my PhD working in industry, road infrastructure industry, and I think that I wasted 2 years of my life, honestly. So every Friday I was concluding that, yeah, I wasted more week, and again, Monday, I started over. And I think that industry and government, construction industry doesn't really have time to think about governmental sector and any kind of regulation, and government doesn't know all the details or gaps that industry are facing. But HDR students or researchers in university, their philosophy exists that is they have 3 years of time finding a gap and finding a solution for that gap. So they have plenty of time for filling the gap in industry and government. But I guess the potential of those researchers, yeah, most of industry partners and government doesn't know, even doesn't know that those researchers exist.
Yes. I get where you're coming from. I also did a PhD. I definitely wasted those 16 years of my life. And Australia just generally has a huge problem with linking academia, the research part of academia, with industry. We've got cooperative research centres and so on, but in my opinion, my experience, they do a really poor job of bridging that gap. But I think that's a whole bigger issue than just construction, let alone NMC and construction. Yeah, we need to do much better. Yeah.
I guess the benefit of having subject matter experts in government as well helps. So we've already looked at with QUT, and we are looking at measuring health, maintenance and operational costs and employment, and providing a framework to value MMC more than just the capital investment costs. So we're trying now in a partnership to start measuring these outcomes so we can actually start having a valid way to verify in procurement that this is a worthwhile investment. And I think it's only from things like that, with us having connections to QT, to the built environment in all the 4 universities, to partnering with master builders. That's the critical way that you do invest in academia and research coming back into government that then feeds into advanced industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're losing so much of our research offshore. So in the way that we're importing stuff, our research and our IP is getting developed here in our universities, and because we can't commercialise things out of our universities, and government plays a huge role there, we're actually losing it internationally, and it is a problem that we're very aware of.
Yeah, it's a huge problem.
Very small point is are you aware of the ARM hub, Advanced Robotics and Manufacturing in Northgate? Yeah, cool. Those guys do a fantastic job. So I work with them, and I'm looking at bringing on a QUT researcher to come and help us and work with us. So yeah, if you're aware of it, great.
Have we got a chance for one more question? It's a comment, so that doesn't count.
Sorry, I just wanted to let you know that I'm actually bringing a professor from Griffith University to do his 6-month sabbatical in my team. And what we're looking at doing is identifying a couple of pilot projects on economic development and infrastructure planning, where we can actually bring the students, all the students, so it could be planners, it could be architects, it could be anyone who's studying at the university, to actually come and be a part of some pilot projects. So we're in the process of shaping up what those projects might be. So it's a really great opportunity. We also can tap into all of the educators, the lecturers that are in there, because they get to write papers 2 days a week. And how awesome would it be if they were actually writing papers and researching and participating in real life projects that we're working on. So that's our goal in bringing the professor in.
So that was the comment, so we have got time for one more question.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm not too sure comment on the question, but just to the state government colleagues up there, look, my name is James Allig. I'm managing director of Indigenous Recruitment. I've also got a consulting company, but you know, I spent 20 plus years in the government, you know, both Commonwealth and state, 7 years in construction, worked for a tier 1 construction company. I suppose what I see at the moment is that you've got the Queensland Indigenous Procurement Policy, where I'm seeing a lot of small to medium Indigenous companies that are trying to price on big packages, big projects, but there's a gap there in terms of capability, you know, and you know, and I suppose lack of ability to tender on projects and that. So I suppose I know there's a lot of support out there in that regard, but I suppose we've got the Olympic Games coming up. You know, how are we positioning them and every other company in this room ready for the Olympic Games? Because I can see, and I tell, I'm not, you know, I'll be straight up, I tell Indigenous companies now that if you think you're going to get an opportunity on the Olympic Games, think twice, because, you know, if you're not positioned, if you haven't positioned yourself now, then the people who are going to, companies are going to get it, other land leases or John Hollands, but they've already got their preferred suppliers. You're going to be third in the chain to try and get that opportunity. But how are we positioning small to medium Indigenous companies now? Like, I think in the residential space is a good opportunity, because you can use the residential space as an opportunity to grow and develop small to medium companies ready for the Olympic Games. But I think, yeah, I suppose I just wanted to mention that because, you know, I've worked in Aboriginal for a long time. I've worked in, you know, I worked for the tier 1 construction company, taking them from $1.3 million to $26 million Indigenous spend, 141 Indigenous people employed, over 1,000 nationally. So I know what it takes to position companies to be a leader in participation, and I know, you know, in terms of, you know, I see myself as a subject matter expert when it comes to this sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, two factors to that. Number one, I think we have so much to build. Everyone's going to have a piece of the pie, and everyone will find their place. But the second part of that is, if there is a gap happening, and you are an expert, we're listening. Come and talk to me in the first instance, and let's get those gaps filled if that's what is existing right now. But I think that there is a space for everybody. And if we need to be doing something different or better, James, please, we're all ears for listening.
Excellent. Have we got one more, and then that's it. 2 more? So have we got time for 2 more? So 6 minutes, 1 more. We've got 1 more. Who was first? This man here. And then I promise you that I'll be there.
Thank you, David Winning, Venture. We've probably been unusual in this space in that Brad and myself are on the developer side. We, at the moment, are looking at about $300 million worth of MMC type development projects sourced by capital from down south. What I can say is, to use a different word to what was banned before, is that Southern Capital is shit scared at Queensland at the moment. They're shit scared of the cost. They're scared of competing with the pipeline for the Olympics and health. They don't see that we have evolved sufficiently to be able to give them a nicely packaged modular solution, which we are kind of all working hard on. So, look, I'd really encourage the group here to get on board, because the more that we can do in this space, the more projects. You know, most of our capital comes from either down south or overseas to be able to do large scale projects. So, yeah, just encourage the group to keep going because the capital will flow into Queensland if we can get the recipe right.
Excellent point. Anyone want to add on to that before we run one?
Look, and I would agree with this. We don't have enough money here to do what needs to be done, and we need that confidence to build. So yeah, absolutely, I back you up in that.
Excellent. I think let's wrap up. So let's give everyone a big round of applause. Well, $10. Well done for dropping the F-bomb. And guys, I promise you, not now, but afterwards, you will hear the F-bombs coming from over there. I've come here with Brad and the boys to watch the Lions tour. And guess what? They've nicked my hotel room tonight. So you will hear some, yeah, so that was nice of them to do that, wasn't it? Yeah, so later you'll hear some F-bombs. So anyway, thank you so much, guys. I'd really like Michael to come up when he's finished typing. Yeah, because this guy sat here diligently and silently, but he's been the powerhouse of this event happening. He's been the energy behind it. So Michael, please come up. And I want everyone to give Michael a massive round of applause. Yeah. You can stick that now. Thanks to our sponsors, thanks to everyone. And look, as I said to you, this isn't going to be a one-off event. This is now a series. Thanks to everyone for supporting this. It's been a fantastic turnout. Look, look at this packed room, and we really appreciate it. Just to wrap up, up-and-coming events, CIOB, we're global. So look out here, we've got an online global webinar. So we're bringing in some of our strategic partners, so MMC Ireland, also Trudy Sully, who's a very good friend of the CIOB. She used to head up the UK in a Construction Innovation Hub. We've got a live webinar talking about problems, how we solve them, the common problems across the world. We've got this one on the 27th of August, Advances in AI, so that's, a real key topic at the moment. And thank you. Really appreciate it. As I said, plenty of beer. Enjoy the night.
Pleasure, mate.